Yes, it's a hardcore grind interview with the dynamic Gene Groove Allen. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hey, 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 what's going on? What is happening and how's everybody doing out there? I appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to put me on and let me tell some stories.
Well, I appreciate you because you've been busy. You've been busy out in them streets. So I'm glad you took time to come on here, share your time, space, and energy. Now, I like to go back, honey. Okay? I like to go back, and I always ask about a goal moment. And, a lot of times we're very mindful about how we pour into other people's lives, how they pour
Hmm.
into themselves, how they speak onto themselves. But when we deal in our own thoughts and the things that are placed in our spirit to do, we don't necessarily move right away. We don't move our feet when God say move your feet, right?
That's
We normally are fearful. We got other people to be concerned about, but we don't never concern about ourselves first and foremost. So I want to go back and talk about your goal moment. What made you start your journey into hip hop?
oh, I think it started just in terms of the love of the sound and what it meant as a young kid growing up. From New York, originally from New York, and living on Long Island. My parents lived and listened to basic R&B, Gladys Knight and Stevie Wonder and Isaac Hayes, and that was their music, and it was good music, but for a young kid, there was nothing that really resonated. You had groups, Jackson 5, etc. And I remember this gentleman. My journey started with a gentleman moving from the Bronx. His name is Daryl, and DL we call him. And he had these tapes, mixtapes, and that's what hip hop started. Started on tapes of MCs and groups in the parks, in little clubs, in little sideways, doing music, playing with a DJ and an MC. And some of the first tapes I remember hearing was like the Furious Five, Melly Mel, Grandmaster Flash, Kid Creole, Raheem, the Funky 4+1, the Cold Crush Brothers, the L Brothers, and all of them had these like routines, and they were rhyming, and I kind of like just was amazed and mesmerized, and I just said, I want more of that. I want to hear more of that, and that's how it began. That's how my hip hop journey began in terms of the culture.
I love it. I love it. Now, who's been your biggest support system throughout your journey?
Oh man, a lot of, obviously as young kids, your parents are your support system. My mother, I would write rhymes at the kitchen table during dinner. And she was like, okay, you can write rhymes, but you better be able to write a sentence as well. So, you're always guided like that. Friends, family, as you get older, the friends that you surround yourself with can be an incredible support system. Your neighborhood. Sometimes you have to, and you don't know it as a youngster, but sometimes God is your biggest support. Whether it leads you more into that culture or into that realm or out of it, depending upon where he wants you or where he wants to align you. And as I got older, obviously, my family, my wife, my daughter. So it's a series of support systems, I say, that can bring you success or non-success, depending upon how you want to look at it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Now, how did Groove Be Chill come about?
Man, so I'll go back a little bit. I just got back from college, and so I'm about 19, 20, and I didn't want to go back to school. I ended up working in the area in Long Island. You're either a police officer, you work at a hospital, you do crime, you write rhymes. And I wrote rhymes as a kid, preteen, going into the parks, and hanging out in high school, a very good friend of mine. Shout out to James Smith, Smitty D. James Smith was a very good friend of mine. I was good friends with their family. And in junior high and high school, we would go to the Bronx and hang out. And we ended up hanging out and meeting with and really becoming very good friends of Africa Bambaataa and the Mighty Zulu Nation. If anybody knows history, Africa Bambaataa, they call him the Godfather of Records. He was a brick of that beginning hip hop culture, and they would play at the T Connection and all that. We would hang out with them, and DJ Red Alert and Jazzy J and the Soul Sonic Force, the whole nine. So I was rapping, all during my years, hanging out, in the parks, doing things like that. And James knew I rapped, and he got me a job. I was going to be a police officer, believe it or not. Got me a job. It's called community service, and he said he's making a record. And he came down. I remember I was working out in the gym and at the precinct. And he said, like, listen, I'm getting ready to make a record, and I know you rap, Groove. You should be able. I want you to get on this record. So I did. The group's name was called the Rock Squad, and right at that time, Soul Sonic Force was very hot, very big. Looking for the perfect beat and all these other things, and they ended up connecting us with Monica Lynch and Tommy Silverman of Tommy Boy Records, and we did a record called Facts of Life. And I learned that if you don't own your property owns you. And what we started, you know what I mean? And as we started, the record was started as kind of like a hip hop version, and by the time we finished it, because it wasn't ours, it was being produced by somebody else. It ended up real, like almost like a disco sound. It was crazy. Oh my goodness! But I got bitten by that bug. I wanted to do a record. Smitty D, James Smith. On the cover, you'll see there was James Smith, there was Jeremiah Jones, Jerry J, and at that time, we also had Kevin Madison, K Solo. So everybody knows K Solo, Letterman, down with the EPMD and Def Squad and them, and James' younger brother, Parrish Smith, PMD of EPMD. So we did the record. James ended up going to the police force. Jeremiah Jones, he ended up getting to the Navy, and I was there like, I want to do this record. So I ended up going to Wine Dance Day, is like the biggest place in the New York area, especially Long Island, where, Wine Dance Day, all MCs and rappers and comedians, and everybody comes out and parties and has a good time. And so at that time, I used to go to Wine Dance Day, and I would go to the park because, I knew a lot of the DJs that were playing, and I would show my stuff. And this one night, there was this guy on the tables, DJ Belal, Be Successful, and he was incredible. His skills on the tables was incredible. And there was this gentleman that was rapping with him. And I kind of, like, I sat back, and I'm from Brentwood, New Wine Dance, and sometimes when you're in Rome, you have to do as the Romans do. And as an MC, sometimes you can get out there and, rip it up. But I seen he had the crowd, and the guy's name was Daryl Chill Mitchell. And he had on this hat, and I said, who's the guy with the hat with the coins in it? Because I didn't know, I never seen that before other than Run DMC. But he was rocking the crowd. And that night, people knew me and knew what I could do. So they were like, yo, Belal, let this guy, let Groove get on the mic. So instead of really like trying to battle and go against, me and Chill ended up really kind of rapping together and really, really having a good time and rocking the crowd together. And it was really cool. And at the time, I knew that I wanted to still do a record. I already spoke to Belal, and Belal was like, he was into it, he was down to it. But I ended up needing another person to fill the spot because Jerry wanted to leave. He was going to the Navy. And so Belal, said, hey, what about, Dow? What about Chill? And at that time, they called him Chili Dog. So you know what? I said, let's talk to him. And that became the core, that hub of the group known as Groove Be Chill.
Wow. Now, how did you get the name Groove?
Okay. So my mother's originally from Durham, North Carolina, and a lot of my summers growing up, I can remember 9 and 10 and 11, 12, I would go out to the summers, my family, and stayed with my grandfather, me and my brother, and my sister. And this one summer, Heat Wave was the song. Heat Wave was the group, and Groove Line was the song. Rain shine on the groove line tonight, and it was like really hot. So, and I love that groove. I love that groove. Now, I wanted to be into music. I wanted to be into hip hop, and at first I was going to be a DJ. I was going to be a DJ, and I forget my DJ name that I wanted, and I always picked my MC. My MC's name is going to be whoever he is. His name is going to be Groovy Groove. But I ended up realizing that to be a DJ, you needed equipment, and I didn't have a job. So I said it's easier for me to find a microphone or a pen and a piece of paper and start writing rhymes. So Groovy Groove, and I took that name that I was going to give the imaginary MC that was going to be with my group, and it stuck. And it stuck. You know, Groovy Groove was dubbed. Groovy Groove was born, so to speak.
Oh, wow. Now, I want to go back because Daryl Chill was born. However, you guys became part of the Uptown Crew. How did that happen?
We were very fortunate. You know, so I always say a lot of times your dream, you have to speak your dreams. You have to really believe in your vision. You really have to believe in your efforts. And you really have to vibrate at a higher level and really be positive in your movement. And I remember saying that, you know, for somebody to just come out and say, I want to do a record. I want to do, and we did it. And then I said it again. And because of the way we aligned ourselves, there was a kid we was working with, Nate Tinsley. I call him Boy Genius. He was like 15, 16, maybe even a little younger at the time. He lived in his grandmother's basement, and he had all this equipment, but he was incredible on keyboards and programming and just making sounds and beats. So we worked with him, myself, Be Successful Belal, Daryl Chill Mitchell. We worked with Nate doing songs and all different kind of ideas. While we was doing that, he ended up working with some gentlemen out in Queens. And I want to say that, I'm going to get the name soon. And these Hispanic gentlemen who was working with another gentleman named of Andre Harrell. Now, I'm going to give you a little background. One of those tapes that my man D.L. had almost 20 years ago when I was 12 and 13, they had a tape of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And I'm the JECKYLL, from top of world trade to the depths of hell. Dr. Jekyll was Andre Harrell. And to have that moment kind of transition into finally meeting the gentleman that fueled my love for hip-hop to be a manager, he was looking for, he did sign this deal with MCA. And I forget the amount. It was like, I don't know, $1 million, $5 million, whatever the case may be. And he was looking for 5 acts for this new label called Uptown Records. And the gentleman who was helping him produce it, and Nate was working with, he popped in one of our tapes, one of our demo tapes, and he said, "Well, who's that?" I said, "Well, these guys is group. I don't even know if we even had the name yet. You know what I mean?" But he said, "I want to meet these guys." So they called us like at 4:30. Said Andre Harrell wants to meet you guys because he might want to, you know, listen to you and might want to sign you, but you got to get here in like 35 minutes. So the ride is about a 60-minute ride, but we made it in 25 minutes. Don't ask us how. That's definitely by God design. And we ended up performing the song called Why Me, this kind of funny caricature of, you know, all these bad things that happened to us during a day. And I remember, like, we had these dance routines, and we're up, and, you know, we're so close to Andre, I could probably smell his breath that he ate last night, but we're dancing in front of him, and he loved us and signed us on the spot. He said, "Yo, I want y'all, my guys are going to get in contact with you. I want you to sign. You are now, you know, part of the Uptown label." And it was like magic, you know, to really transition from a thought to an idea to now actually being signed to a label. It was, you know, it was destined. It was God's doing.
I love it. I love it. That was so, and that answers some of my other questions, but I love that. How you back in the I'm gonna say back in the day, y'all, the way y'all connected and just kind of knew each other's skill, and you weren't scared to work with this person or that person. It was just like, listen, you got this skill, they got this skill, let's go and come on together and make something bigger. So I love how you guys had that moment. Now, you've worked with some of the greatest in hip hop. What was one of your most memorable sessions?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I want to say a couple of things. I think, you know, when we look at the history of the album starting from zero, that was on Uptown Records, and when you're in it and when you're doing it, we're all egotistical. Not, I wouldn't say egotistical beings, but we all have certain things that we believe are the right things, whether it's the music, a choice, whatever. And when we were doing our records, back then we thought we knew and understood everything we needed to do and understand. But what we realized, and I realize this now, I remember seeing someone doing an article, a review of starting from zero, Groovy Chill. And, you know, this is like 25 years ago. And they stated that although they understood what we were doing, because we were very colorful, we were very outgoing and had these caricatures, the production of what we had, we only had like 1, 2, 3 major producers. Pete Rock, shout out to Pete Rock. You know, if you don't know Pete Rock is, you know, Trouble T. Roy. When I reminisce over you, with him and CL Smooth, you know, also he's an incredible producer that even till today, you know, the Heavy D, Non-Rule, or, you know, New Rochelle, Yonkers, that area. Prince Paul, De La Soul, Stetsasonic, and we also work with Hitman Howie T, Chubb Rock. I think Pete Rock was really, you know, in terms of his beat making, his production, and to this day, starting from zero, that was the single from the album, the title album. To me, it's still one of my favorites because the sound was just incredible, the way it's smooth, but even the storyline of what we wanted to do, starting from zero to us was like we had nothing, and so when you have nothing, you have nothing to lose if you give everything a chance. And that, to me, working with Pete Rock was just was a pinnacle in terms on the music side.
I love it. Now, you've had many role models. What lessons have you learned along the way in your journey?
Well, so I'm glad you asked that. My first role model, even to this day, was my father. You know, he was a provider, but more importantly, you know, he's shown me, like, when he wanted to do something for him and his family. If my mother wanted a new refrigerator, he would go work a second job to do what he needed to do to bring it back home. To, you know, so that sacrifice of time. So to this day, I find that, you know, I will sacrifice things that I would rather do to make sure that my family has, whether it's a second job or staying up late or travel, doing whatever I need to do to make sure that the home is good. I think, and I wouldn't say role models, but I would say people that you listen to and open to that will tell you things, and we tend to not, people tend not to want to listen or listen to other ideas of other people. But I remember, you know, some things that stuck out. When I went to nursing school, I ended up getting my nursing license, LPN license, and my broker's license the same year. And I remember a gentleman telling me that, you know, sometimes you have to put everything else aside and focus on that task for greater things. You know, there goes that word, that sacrifice again. So I remember my brother, Daryl Chill Mitchell, telling me some things about, we were talking about, he was doing some kind of some kind of event or some kind of show he was still on, and I remember saying like, "Yo, man, I'm trying to be where you at," and he said like, "You're already there," and at that time I didn't understand it, and I probably didn't want to hear it, because like I said, we're all human, I know what I'm doing, and no, I'm not, but as I started on another, I guess another journey that was more positive, or more self-reflective, more God-driven, more purpose-driven, I realized, that I am already there. People already know. People know me and know what I've done, and they still accept me. If they want to see me, we was at I don't know if you've seen. I guess you've seen the pictures. We was at the hip hop mixtape with DJ Jeff, and there was so much love. I remember, talking to Kane. I haven't seen Big Daddy Kane in I don't know how long. He's like, yo, chill, you finally got groove out the house, what I mean? Which I'm out the house, but, be in places where they are, I know that they want to see me. So so when Chill said, like, you're already there, I am already there. A gentleman that I call my brother, Dreamer 369, shout out to Dreamer 369, OG Hustle, DJ Tree Gotti, they're out here in the Southern Maryland area, and I did a podcast with them, and we're talking about the purpose, and I'll get into that a little later. But I remember before we left, and the podcast was incredible. Before I left, he whispered in my ear, he said, "Yo, Groove, you still have. I feel that you still have something to offer the culture." So. And he said, "What do you think about the House Party Experience Tour?" And that seed was planted almost 2.5 years ago, to where it culminates to where we are now. So there's a lot of mentors. There's a lot of jewels that people will drop. It's really about the person. Are you ready to receive it? And then you always have God giving you ideas and things in your head and your brain and putting things in your place, putting in places for you. But do you receive it? And I think that's more important. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Now, there's elevation in all parts of our lives. We always have a reset period. Now, as a black man, as a father, as a husband, and an entertainer, what have you learned most about yourself?
Woo, girl. So okay. So now we're gonna go back and we're gonna go forward. All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
So imagine this: you got an album, you're on an iconic label, you've got one of the biggest managers or CEOs in the business who used to work with incredible people from Def Jam and Rush. Got a new intern, and no one seems to be paying you attention. But all of a sudden, the Father MC, Mary J. Blige, Jodeci, I'll Be Sure, Heavy D, just doing the thing. Then you have a movie, and we'll talk about a movie. You're in this movie, and it's loosely based around you, based upon the things that you put into the scenario, but the management doesn't capitalize on that. Got a hit movie, have an album out, no one's capitalizing, and then the group breaks up. So we're all depressed, we're angry, and I remember, at that time, and in my mental state, I became very depressed. And I say that because now, I realized that the same way that I said Rock Squad ended, okay, I'm going to find Groovy Chill, I could have done something else, but I chose to blame others around me. And I blame, and my biggest blame, we talked about this recently, I blame my best friend, Chill. Chill was now doing TV and movies. And, on one hand, I was like, yo, you should hook me up. But and he didn't, in his lane, he didn't. But that should not have stopped me. And I let it stop me. And I built all these things of why I wasn't where I wanted to be because of him not helping me, blah, blah, blah. And that was wrong.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, I am the one. When I look in the mirror, I'm the reason why I was not where I wanted to be. But it's easy to blame other people. And I held on to this for a long period of time until, my later years when I started getting into more self-evaluation, self-help books, and just listening to other people and how they think about the things that will stop you or start you. And I realized, I came to the conclusion that I am who I am. I am where I am because of who I am. I can't lie when I look into the mirror, and the mirror is going to tell you the truth, whether you want to hear it or not. And if you believe in yourself and you put forth the effort, even a little bit, each piece makes sense to the point when God will bring all these other things to you. So I literally transitioned from, and I'll say I was depressed and angry and blaming everybody else. I blamed my mother. At the time, I blamed my girlfriend. She's my wife now. I blamed everybody other than the person that was to blame, was me. So that was my biggest transition. And once I made that transition, once I made that choice to say, God, this is what I am, this is who I am, but you know where I want to be. I'm telling you, he opened up so many doors. Even to this day, the doors are just, sometimes I get real emotional about it, because when you don't listen to what he says for you, what he wants for you, even what he doesn't want for you, you stay lost, and I'm not lost anymore.
I love it. I love it. But now I want to go back, though, because, everybody want to be in the industry. Everybody want to be a rapper. They want to be hip-hop. And me personally, I could think of rap and hip-hop as two different genres. They're not the same thing. It's not the same. It's not the same sounds. But what were some of the obstacles you guys faced in coming into the industry, even though you were signed to the Epic Uptown label? What were some of the obstacles you guys faced as a group?
I think there's there's layers to that. There's a lot of layers to that. I think, first of all, we didn't understand who we wanted to be as a group. We knew what we wanted to do, but we couldn't collectively put it out there so when people saw it, they knew it. That's identification of what and who you are is important. Secondly, we tried to do everything ourselves, and sometimes it doesn't make sense. I remember when we was in the studio, oh my goodness, like 2-3 months, literally going back and forth, late nights, and nobody would come check on us. Nobody would come check on us, and we were bitter about it. We was upset about that. And then all of a sudden, Andre said, listen, I want you guys to sit in and listen and talk to Sean, at Puffy. He's brand new return, but he's doing some things. I want y'all to sit with him. So we sat with Puffy, and shout out to Sean Puffy Combs, whatever call him, Love or Diddy, and he listened to some of the stuff that we did, and he was like, I hear it, but I still don't hear a hit. He said, so I want us to kind of work together, blah blah blah, and really, almost start from scratch. And at that time, we were like, start from scratch, bro. Where you been 2 or 3 months? So sometimes, once again, your own egos, your own mindset, about what you want to do or where you need to be.
You're right.
Had we listened, because now, and it doesn't mean he'd have been right, but we were like, I remember we get on the elevator like, nah, man, we gonna, my man Belal was like, nah, man, we gonna do what we gonna do. It's like, okay, we gonna do what we gonna do. But imagine if we just stopped for a minute, put all our ego to the side and said, okay, let's listen. Might have been a different story. So
you're right.
Between that, yeah, you know what I mean? And it's true. And I think that's life. Sometimes, you have to listen to the people that, and really listen to it. Don't make it feel like, because nobody wants to hear, yo, you know what, you did, what you should have done. No one wants to hear that. But the person that accepts that and listens to it, takes it and wears it and utilizes it. I know, a shout out to Fat Man Scoop. He, when people critique his show, because he does the same show, hang it, that's his thing. He knows it. And the guy was like, well, I was in Prague, and then I went to Venice, and you did the same show, so let me know when you're going to be there so I don't have to be there. So he said, instead of going berserk and like, who you? He said, hey, why don't we talk about, what you liked and didn't like? There might be some things that I can, and he said the reason why is because you never know. So I think that was one of the things for us. We ended up getting in our own way in terms of hurdles. And I think that in terms of opportunity, although at that time mindset was like the manager should find this opportunity, but the real case scenario is you find yourself your own opportunities within the structure that you're with, and if the manager can help you accelerate or find some opportunities himself, imagine the collective of everybody's working on that same task. So that's what I think that the hurdles that we had to deal with.
I love it. Now, I want to go back because Groovy Chill has been compared to such groups as De La Soul and the Jungle Brothers. What do you think made your group so unique?
I think because we all had aspirations to be bigger than hip hop and rap. I wanted to sing. We call it sing, rap, dance, and act, because we were characters. We would come into a room and make everybody laugh. We would stand out. The way we dressed, the way we styled. We wanted to be colorful. But we also wanted to talk in a way that you understood. At that time, it was funny because, hip hop had just became, it was very popular, but, I remember them trying to change it to urban contemporary and all these different names so it could fit a norm, so it could fit a standard from the music industry, but you couldn't do that. We knew that hip hop and rap and the culture was important to us, and we saw it, how it changed lives, on both sides of that track. So we wanted to make sure that we dealt with all types of things that we saw, but also we wanted to do it in a way that you had some fun. And I think that's what kind of stood out when we met the Hudlin brothers at our first video shoot. The fact that we were animated. If you remember, if Uptown's Kickin' It, we were the last group, dancing around the table. So we knew, there's five, there's four of them groups. We gotta do what we gotta show them. And that's what I do. We gotta sound different. We gotta put things that people remember. So we would rock for the homeboy posy. That was like that ode to reggae, and then hey, that all that kind of stuff is the stuff that we do, whether at a party or whatever. So it really, at the end of the day, it made Groovy Chill what Groovy Chill is.
Absolutely. Now listen though. Okay, so listen now. New York City blackout. That was 1977. Hip hop was different before the blackout and after the blackout. Talk a little bit about how the industry changed.
I think for me, I saw that the industry was more. It became more of reporting, more telling of stories that no one wanted to tell. And at the end of the day, it also had a chance because rap has moments in time that change. So from the 70, 77, rap was basically about the things you saw on the street, drugs. Furious 5, shout out to Furious 5. Grandmaster Melly Mel, Grandmaster Flash, Raheem Cowboy, Kid Creole, all these gentlemen, they literally told a story that when you heard it, You felt it. You saw it. You didn't have to be there. You didn't have to be in the Bronx, but you saw it through their words. Then came Run DMC. What made them change the trajectory of what rap was because the records that they used were the same records that we were using in the parks to rap on. And then hear it on a record, you were like, oh my goodness, that. That's 2 years ago, a friend of mine. That's the same record that I would rap off in the parks. So I'm like, now that's what. Cause now it's like, oh, now this is what I'm saying. So you had that speech, and then came a brother named Rakim, who changed the to it's been a long time. She done left you without a strong rhyme to step to. That so once again, so you're talking about that was around the time, 77, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85. All these things, it's really about the moments in time, what you're talking about, but also how you're delivered and how the generation perceives what they're saying and puts it on record. And to me, that's the biggest changes that goes on, even to the day.
Absolutely. Now, what are your thoughts on the current state of rap and hip-hop today?
Oh, boy. Okay, so as an MC, as a rapper, I love the fact of creativity. Creativity means everything to me. And I can't knock anybody's hustle. I can't knock anybody's creativity. Unfortunately, I feel that there's a bigger picture, and I'm not gonna go into the conspiracy theory, but there's a bigger picture of what's being heard on records and versus what should be heard and seen. Mm-hmm. When you have, I remember, and you gotta remember. So, I used to hang out with Jungle Brothers and Queen Latifah and her crew and MC Light. We would be in, little parties and whatnot and clubs, getting at the VIP section. And their whole scenario was about, unity and the uplifting. Salt and Pepper, it's so many different, and even the men, but then things changed, and what we hear and what we see now, it's almost like, wow, they really say that now, and I get it, I understand, freedom of speech, creativity, but there was a comedian, a white comedian, and he was talking about two songs, the Christmas jingle, "Baby It's Cold Outside," and the lyrics, and I remember them saying people were saying, cancel that song because all these assumptions, and then he read the lyrics to WAP. And I listened to WAP, sometimes I danced to it, but when he spoke the words, I was like, wow, that's really some straightforward, and these are the things that our children, if you let them listen to it, and unfortunately a lot of our younger parents are letting kids listen to it. So I think that, in the state of, and there's different levels to this. Like I said, I understand the creativity, but I definitely think that there's a bigger agenda in what we hear in rap. We might never find out till today's event, but there are things that I will not let my daughter listen to just because. And at the end of the day, that's the important thing. As a parent, as a mentor, as a person that guides people, you can either watch it or turn it off. I choose to turn it off.
Now, if you had the power to make changes in the industry, what would those changes be and why?
I think the biggest thing, the real thing that they're talking about now, it's all about, we know it's about money. Now it's about money. And that's another thing. back in the day, we just wanted to do rap. We just wanted to be the best MC. We just wanted to have people party. We just wanted to have people say, yo, that was dope. Yo. Now it's about the money, and I get it. We all got to eat. For the biggest thing, and at the end of the day, they're talking about streaming and how there's no real money. They make it seem like there's money in it.
Right.
But at the end of the day, there isn't.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you change the narrative on that? Because at the end of the day, I get it. I'm giving you money. I'm giving an artist money to produce a product, and now I own it. And I understand that. That's basic investment 101, my return on my investment. But how do we even up the playing field? And they have now, social media, you change that. You can now become a star without a label, But there's still people that are slaves to the record companies because they want to eat. And they don't get their just desserts. I think, I'm going to shout out to LL Cool J and Rock the Bells. His whole agenda is how to give back to the culture that started this whole foundation. I mean, I think it's incredible. The Rock the Bells tour was incredible. And to see it, I went to one of the shows in D.C. and I remember I was sitting at the bar and just watching people. Me, I'm an artist, but I'm just watching people vibing off of the music they were playing before the show started. And it was all 80s, 90s, 70s, 80s, 90s hip-hop. And they vibing. And I'm seeing people coming in with canes, wheelchairs, Bengay, but they in there because that's what they feel. That's what they vibe to. So that's what I would change. The structure of how artists are being paid then and now, and really making it an even playing field.
Absolutely. So with the change in hip hop, what and the group kind of everybody wanting to do their own thing, is that when you veered off into acting?
Acting veered up into us, it really did. We were rappers who wanted to turn it into actors, and people thought we were actors trying to be rappers, but it was definitely the difference. We were doing the Uptown Kickin' video with the Hudlin brothers, and Heavy D and the Boyz, Mr. Big Stuff. They shot both videos, and on Queens, so it must have been on the Mr. Big Stuff video. The call time was like 6 o'clock in Queens. We got them at 5. Why? Because we're about our business. I wanted to show whoever is producing, whoever's going to be there, they're going to see Groovy Chill. They're early on their game.
Uh-huh.
So the Hudlin brothers were there, and they're like, wow, you guys are early. And, we just started talking, and they really liked our spirit and our vibe. And they asked us, what do you do? I said, well, when we're not, working 9 to 5, we do parties. We, go to house parties. We, rap, do this, blah, 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 blah. They said, wow, okay, listen, we're working on a treatment for this movie idea. And it's like a house party. And we'd love to sit with you and just learn about the things that you've done. And we sat with them for like almost a year and a half, 2 years, going back and forth to Manhattan. And, we started taking improv lessons. We joined the Black Filmmakers Foundation, and just really engaging in just that whole realm. And I remember them calling and saying, listen, we have a treatment. We have it approved. Disney wants to do a movie called House Party, and we want you guys to audition. So we were like, audition? Wow, okay, cool. So they sent us the lines. They sent us the scripts that we needed to learn. And, and I think people know it by now, but the actual original script and the idea of the movie, in the script, the original parts that were supposed to be played was for Groove, B, and Chill. My part was supposed to be play. Daryl's part was supposed to be Kid's part, and Belal, Be Successful, was going to be Martin Lawrence's part. On the script, it had Groove. On the script, it had Chill. On Martin's part, it said Belal. And we went to Disney, and me and Daryl took our lines, and we killed it. We knew we killed it because you guys are funny. And then they threw improv stuff at us. Now you're talking about guys that have been together 3, 4, 5 years doing stuff on their own. So when they threw the curveballs, we smacked it out the park. So we knew, and all of us said, y'all guys got this, lock, stock, and barrel. But we did not have a hit record. Didn't have a hit record. And it got out of Disney's hands to New Line Cinema. New Line Cinema wanted some more powerful people. And at first they were interested in talking to Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince. That didn't work out. And then they ended up going to Kid and Play, because at that time, Kid and Play was like this hot. It was all over the place. They were fun. They were loving. They were dancing. It just made sense. It was just a good business move. Shout out to Kid and Play. They did their thing. And so the Hudlin brothers still wanted us to like say, listen, I still want you guys to be in this movie. So they've made us parts where I think, even to this day, we've made some iconic scenes, iconic events that people still come to me to dance. I remember you, XYZ ABC, and thank you for what you've done. So, that's how acting chose us.
Absolutely. Now listen, because you brought it up. Now, did you work at Sears like everybody else? If I see one more person that worked at this Sears, everybody was at Sears.
No, I was. Let me see. At that time, I think I was working at a hospital. You know what I mean? Like I said, you a hospital. Sold drugs. Worked as a police officer. I wasn't going to be a police officer because I shoot first, ask questions later. But it was a situation that it really allowed us to expand and grow and just understand the business. And to be honest, we didn't understand it enough because the fact that we put a lot of time into working the let's say the skeleton of that movie. There's pieces in there where, like Belal told a story when he was DJing in the streets, and he was doing a party for a friend, and the guy came late, and he had the car packed with people, some girls, and then started throwing and stuffing Belal's stuff into the car. And if you remember, that was the scene with Ray and Martin Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
That really happened. The falling out at the door, that's happened sometimes. When you just so toe up, from the party, you fall out at the door. The dance scene was iconic. But old English, I remember drinking Old English. You know what I'm saying? So those were moments, and if we were on our business then, we probably would have said, well, hey, can we have some production points or a piece, whatever the case may be, because that's that part of that stuff that you did, it did come from us, but we wasn't thinking like that.
Right, absolutely. Now, but you did a little shift there because you went into voiceover. What made you go into doing voiceover?
Desperation. I wanted to get back, so that was around the time, depressed, still in New York, because, you got to remember, we did Shot House Party. I'm on the set I'm meeting Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger and shaking hands, and next I'm back home at the hospital. So I'm like, I'm supposed to be a star. I got an album, and people ask you, oh, my goodness, I saw your movie. Why are you here? And I told them the joke was, well, I got tired of the VIP, the champagne, and all the attention. So I wanted to come back and just work and just do those things. It was just too much. And that was the running joke. But my friends were in California that I worked with and met with before. Shout out to Nitro, shout out to Peter Work. And he was doing some production for Elektra Records and Sylvia Rowan, the queen of record companies. And he was also, doing jingles for a small in-house jingle person, another young lady, and I forget her name. Forgive me, Lord. And he said, Groove, why don't you come out to California? You can maybe kind of recharge, re-energize your career. And so I went out there, and then he was like saying, yo, why don't you, get on? I got this jingle I want you to do. And it was Pringles potato chips. And it was so I'm thinking as a rapper, I'm MC, I'm gonna get up there and like Pringles potato chips, hit it on your lips, let's take it to the trips. And that was definitely not what I envisioned. And I'm in there, and this old gentleman, old Caucasian gentleman, he's like, well, bro, I want you to now on this line, I need you to say greasy mess. I'm like, nah, you don't rap like that. But after a while, you realize that they're paying the bill, and potato chips going across your lips, pop the Pringles, not like chips in the bag, greasy mess. It's a drag. But I got it done, and I remember it was a national commercial. And so you could be 2, 3 in the morning. I remember my mother saying, "Baby, I heard your voice," and I said, "Where that?" And it was the TV, so it was a Pringles potato chip commercial, and I made that first year for, I would say, let's say 2-3 days of like 24 hours of work. I made like $100,000 on that one commercial. So I was bit by that, and I ended up doing, me and Nitro did Pringles potato chips, honeycomb cereal, Toyota, Coca-Cola, and there was another one that we did, a smaller one, and we did a lot of great work. And I never had to audition because this was my man. He's like, "Here, Groove, let's go, let's rock." And I started, going back to voiceover was kind of like part of my, I would call it my rebirth, after I realized that I was the reason why I wasn't where I wanted to be. And so I found a school out here in the area called Edge Studios. Shout out to Edge Studios, because they do, in New York, they're the ones that that's where like Marvel does all their cartoon voiceover work for their cartoons at Ed Studios. Mm-hmm. This Ed, like really, really huge, big. They got like places L.A., I think like in Seattle, Virginia. So I went to Virginia, and I started studying voiceovers and the concept and the real the business of voiceovers, and that kind of started me back on my journey to where I am now.
I love that. But now you get a few pit stops along the way, because you are also a financial consultant. Okay, nursing, voiceover, actor, financial consultant. How did you make that shift?
That was definitely, by I don't say by design, but once again, God puts things in places where He wants you to be, and how you want to do it, even though it doesn't seem like that's where you want to be or where you want to go. I was working in a hospital. I was Queens Children's Hospital, and there was, there it was a lot of it was like emotional, because you had like 6 and 7-year-old children, who had issues, maybe physically abused, mentally abused. And they would. This is where they would go to try to get back into, some kind of normalcy. And I remember working in that scenario, and I knew that I could do better rather than being like their babysitter. I could do better by maybe helping them on the medicinal side and helping them with their meds and being the person they trust to do the things that they needed to do. For the medicinal side. So I went to nursing school and got my nursing license. But I was also, at the time, I was working the hospital at night. I was working at a brokerage firm in the day. Like, I don't know if anybody remembers Boiler Room, where, you had a bunch of 100 brokers and you're all sitting there calling people, trying to get them to send you a check for like $10,000-$20,000. And that's what I did during the day, literally, like on the floor, 9 o'clock, 6 o'clock at night, calling people from here to Hawaii, like, "Hey, this is Gene Allen, and I have some great ideas from Gap. Gap is going at $24.30 a share, but at this time we're finding that it's going to be a dip. So I need you to get on your phone and write this down right now." And so you did that all day, and hopefully somebody would send you a check for $10,000, $20,000, maybe $100,000 that would change your life. But I studied my 7, I got my 63, and I ended up, being a representative, a financial advisor, really understanding the business later on, because, selling products and understanding the psychology of what these products can do is two different things. And I think that's helped me even to this day, when I address whether it's on the entertainment side or on the business side of how I do things.
I love it. Now, okay, so the Groove's Leaf Bomb, is that how you kind of went into that industry?
So once again, God has been my driver, and for me personally, in terms of where I am, and part of this time of when I realized that I was my own problem. I had finished Edge Studios, and I went out on LinkedIn. I never worked LinkedIn, and I was working, during the bank at the time, and my manager, he was like, hey, use LinkedIn. So I saw LinkedIn, and I never used it before, but I started using LinkedIn, and I said, oh, well, maybe I can look up. And I remember in class, in voiceover class, they say look for production companies that might need help in marketing. So I did that, and there was a company out in my area, maybe, I don't know, about 20 miles, 30 miles from here, called TFN, Total Faith Network. And I sent them my reels. I sent them some information. I had an electronic press kit of, Groove and, what I did in the past, blah, 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 and house party and whatnot. And they contacted me and said, hey, we know who you are. We'd love to talk to you. And so we talked, and they said they wanted me to be a guest. So I said, cool. This is part of what we're doing. This is part of moving forward. And, short story, make it a long story short, I ended up not being the guest. They fired the host, and they made me the host.
Mm.
So, yeah, and that's the total story within itself. That's God saying, hey, this is who I want you to be, and this is why. Because I ended up, my first interview was these gentlemen, Vaughn Zilla. Shout out to Vaughn Zilla Jurgens and his man. And they are CBD, THC, almost like a conglomerate, because they work with people who can help you invest or find investors if you want to do a farm or a lab or a dispensary, but they also sell products and make products and whatnot. So we became good friends, and maybe a year later, he was saying, hey, Groove, you need to be on this bomb. You can brand the bomb. I'm like, because I believe if I put my face on something, if I do something, it's got to be real. So he sent me some stuff. He sent me a package, and literally, I remember this day. I was working outside from 8 to like 4, just cutting and chopping and digging. Then I came inside, and I worked a little bit inside, and I didn't go to bed till 9 o'clock that night, 10 o'clock that night, and my body felt like it just left me. Everything was aching. I couldn't. I was so much in pain. I couldn't even lay down and be still. So I said, well, let me try this bomb stuff. And I tried it. And I'm telling you, 2-3 minutes later, I could do a backflip semi-floor and probably jog around. It was like overnight. And I called him and I said, listen, yeah, put my name on it. Let's do it. It's just that good. And that became the wheel that started moving to the point where, we're talking about rebranding, because now I'm understanding a little bit more about the business. It's more than just putting your name on something. Mm-hmm. It's more than e-commerce. I'm working with partnerships in terms of how to market, because now it's like I'm going to take my name off of it. I don't need my name on it, because it's really not about my name. It's about the product itself and what it can do and what it can't do.
Right.
So, that was just another, blessing, working with my brothers, TFN. Shout out to CEO Marshane Winfield and the Queen, Dr. Cindy, CEO and COO of Total Faith Network, that has allowed me to really, because of them, I started doing more on my social media platform. And because of doing more on my social media platform, because I wasn't, I didn't social media, Facebook. I don't do Facebook. I don't do Instagram. I sound like Jadakiss now. I don't do Facebook. I don't do Instagram. I don't do none of that stuff. But I realized if I was going to be this host, I needed to let people know, hey, I'm hosting the show. And that's how I ran into and met with the guys that I dubbed New Jack Kings, So everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely. Now, if you could give advice, right? So many people want to go into the industry. They want to be the next biggest thing. Sometimes that pursuing that vision comes with a lot, and it could be overwhelming at times. What advice would you have for aspiring artists and producers?
I would say two things. The first thing is believe in yourself when no one else believes in you, because there's going to come time when nobody believes in you, and they're going to give you their opinions. They're going to give you quote unquote help and guidance, and might be, don't. I'm not saying don't listen to the words that they might express to you, but if it's to the point where you feel that you're doing the wrong move, and if this is your passion, don't give up, because what happens today is so different to what's going to happen tomorrow and the next day and the next. So never give up. Second thing, and I think this is the most important. We have a mantra we call "We are the purpose," and that means whoever I meet today, however I can help you tomorrow is my purpose, because I know if I help you get what you want, and it's one of those things that a lot of self-help books. If I help you get what you want, you're going to help me get what I want or what I need. And it's important because that's kind of like, the basic of Christ and his teachings. Help others. I'm here for you. I want you to go help others, and that's been what I think as an artist. Always try to help others, whether it's that producer or that MC, and they'll help you. We're doing an Atlanta tour. At the beginning of February, the New Jack Kings, and we're going to have all the local talent in Georgia, and we're going to get it filmed, and it might be something that will help them, propel them to the next level. It might not, but the fact that we're trying to help, we're having vendors there, because we might have 100 people. We're going to have radio there. TV might show up. We never know. And if we got a vendor who's selling, I don't know, he's selling stuffed doggies. Someone might see that stuffed doggy and want to put it on Amazon. So help others. So I think that's the thing. Always believe in yourself. Don't give up, and help others, and you're gonna be all right.
I love it. Now, you're a pioneer in an industry that has gone over and beyond its expiration date. How does that make you feel?
I'm going to go back to what I said before about Rock the Bells and LL and his platform, because I truly believe that he not only put an emphasis on the beginners, the culture, the beginning of that culture, but he also put an emphasis on it doesn't have to be your ending. And that's important. This is really important. When someone tells you you still got a lot to offer the culture, because I still got a lot to say. Now it might not be what my 20 or 25 or 30-year-old have said, because that's a whole different mindset. But there's still a lot of things I got to say that I want to say, and there's still an audience. I'm telling you, last night in Atlantic City, there was so many of the people that we did records with, hung out with, saw, had parties with, family from Grandmaster Melly Mel, the Furious Five, Grandmaster Flash, Stetsasonic, MC Light, so many different, Public Enemy, Groovy Chill, Big Daddy Kane. And when you saw that audience vibing, dancing, singing, clapping, smiling, that's it's there. So when people say, it's done, it's only done if you say it's done. The great inventor, Ford, Mr. Ford of Ford Company, said, whether you say you can or whether you say you can't, you're right. and that stuck with me. So if I say I can't rap no more, nope, you sure can't. But if I say I can rap some more, I sure can. And I always say I sure can.
No, that's right. Okay, now let's talk about this house party pajama jam tour you got going on now. And I originally talked to you, and shout out to Mikey J for connecting us. We talked about this last year, and you were like, it's coming. It's here.
Yep.
It's here. Let's talk about it.
You know, this is like a dream of mine. So, you know, back in the day when we were making music, really making music every day in the studios, and we would go to parties. The best part of the party was when they would play that song that you knew, and you dance with your partner and y'all singing, you know, and dancing and having a good time. That feel good, that family, like that barbecue, like, you know, everybody, you know, the uncles and the grandmas and the aunties and everybody in the back, and they cooking and they frying, and that music comes on. It might be Frankie Beverly and Mays, it might be Mary J. Blige, it might be whatever, and that kind of feeling is what house party was. That kind of experience. And so when my man, you know, shout out again to Dreamer 369, OG Hustle, DJ Tree Guy, they put that seed in my head. I thought about it where we would be on stage and we're playing a song like Cheryl Lynn, you know, To Be Real, because I remember rocking that song in the park. And I remember having the DJ cut the music. Ladies, what you want your man to be? To be real. You know, fellas, what you want your women to be? To be real. Doom, 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 and people be vibing to that. When Mary J. Blige is like, baby, there's no need, and people and the women singing to the top of their lungs, Love Without a Limit. You know what I'm saying? That's that kind of vibe. We did a warm up house party experience tour. My man, we had it in his basement, and I remember doing I'm Falling Down, time on my hands. If you want to hear like 30, 40 women singing at the top, I'm going down, it's nothing like it. When you get that kind of feeling, when you get that kind of that vibe, that energy, and that's what the House Party Experience Tour is. So now we're going to Atlanta. We're going to have a pajama jam on February 1st. The second day we're going to be a skate plug. We're going to have vendors there. We're going to have Kids Day during the day where all the kids come out playing some friendly music, letting them have fun, a little dance, a little skating. At night, parents doing our thing. The third, you know, these are the things. We got nonprofits coming in. We got a sponsor. Shout out to Disbelief. And this is important. Sometimes your sponsors, it's not really about the sponsors, it's about what they do for the community. And the sponsor is an alcohol brand, but they give back to the community in so many different ways. And they like what we talk about. They like the fact that we are the purpose, because we want vendors. We want to support and help nonprofits, because that's part of the seed of that community. We want the local vendors from that community so they can be seen. You know, so we, you know, now, you know, we have a tequila brand that's called Disbelief that is now sponsoring the New Jack Kings, and, you know, you're going to see a lot more of them. You know, I'll give you a little background. The New Jack Kings was an idea. The name was my idea in terms of what I felt these brothers were, but the concept of the 90s niche created by Teddy Riley, you know, Guy, Teddy Riley, Aaron Hall, Damian Hall, you know, from Uptown Groove Me. You know, he is the epicenter of New Jack Swing. Without him, it wouldn't be New Jack Swing. There was the alpha and omega of New Jack Swing.
Right.
Shout out to Teddy Riley. And these gentlemen, they love that. They love that sound, and they start doing music in that New Jack Swing kind of flow. And they reached out to me, and this is really important. They went to they needed some drops for some of their songs they were doing, and so they ended up finding and said, Fat Man Scoop paid me $500 and I'll do drops for your song or whatever it was. So they sent in the song, and he loved the song so much. And I'm talking about Fat Man Scoop is the voice of the party. Shout out to Fat Man Scoop. He is the epitome of what a party's supposed to sound like when you rock it. He heard their song Daydreaming, and he called them back and said, listen, I love your song so much, I'm going to remix it for free, and we're going to do a video together. And that doesn't happen. You're talking about an icon and some guys that just started in this biz, so to speak.
Oh.
And then they reached out to me, and they were going to do a video paying homage to House Party. And I said, yeah, I'd love to get involved. I'd love to, because I'm still doing the TFN stuff. And, long story short, they asked me to be their manager. They came on my show, TFN, and I dubbed them the New Jack Kings. And these guys are incredible. Fat Man Scoop, he's incredible. And we're going to go to Atlanta, and we're going to have a ball. We're going to have a ball.
I love it. Now let's talk TFN.
Oh man, Total Faith Network. It's that has been, I've never hosted a show before, and so, but God takes you where He wants you to be, and I wasn't going to take the opposite. And say, no, I can't do that. And it's funny because I remember my first couple of shows, I was terrible. Oh my God, I was like, oh, when I look back. But that's once again, never give up, because now I can host my buttocks off. You know what I'm saying? Because now I understand how to control the flow, how to put things in perspective to get the questions that I want. And sometimes you gotta tell them to cut it down too. You gotta hey, I gotta cut you. We go into break. But so it's really it was a chance for me to grow. And it's given me the opportunities. I mean, I've interviewed like my friends like Warrington Hudlin, Big Les, from the Living Single Dance. Well, Big Les has just got an epic career still, artists and Curtis Blow, Geechee Dan, Planet of the Tapes on Rock the Bell, Jaquan, epic historian, epic hip-hop historian, just all these, but also doctors. And my biggest, Sophia Stewart, the mother of the Matrix. If you know the story, she claims that they stole her story of the Terminator and the Matrix, African-American woman out of Las Vegas. And I sat in an interview. I was in Vegas, and she's in Vegas. We ended up having dinner that night, but I interviewed her, and she's telling me the story of how they stole her work, her idea. So it's just been an incredible ride. It's 3 seasons. They still got to do some things in terms of how to get it out there. But now that I have my own kind of marketing engine going, I'm going to start putting out the content maybe on a YouTube or something like that, because it's there. It's there, and I'm going to use it. So TFN has been an incredible journey, and I love them for it.
I love it. Listen, you got TFN going into the 3rd season. You got the House Party Pajama Jam Experience Tour.
Yep,
What is next for Groove Allen?
Oh, you know what? So, I would say now, especially now, me and my partner Chill have been able to kind of put together some ideas and some things. And, like I said, God is so good. He is so good. There is a gentleman, and I'm going to say shout out to Anthony Commodore. He is dubbed, they call him, he's like the next Tyler Perry. He has like 2, he's a TV producer, movie producer, production company, a writer, he's an actor. And the funny thing is he lives around the corner from me, literally around the corner. And I've been in this area for a long period of time, never knew. And because of the connections through LinkedIn and all these other people, I ended up reaching out to him like maybe a year ago. And I said, hey, I would love to get together, have lunch, because you're a friend of my friend, and, I see what you do. And he didn't answer. But he looked at my Instagram page and my Facebook page and had his people check it out. And he said, Gene, I'm going to tell you, if you had anything negative on there, I wouldn't be messing with you. But I don't do negative, because that's not me. I don't do messy. I'm about uplifting, vibrating at a higher level. And he saw that. So we ended up having lunch, and we were talking. about a month ago, literally about a month and a half ago, and he got a pilot coming out, and I don't know if anybody knows about Greenleaf, but the short story is he got affected by some personal things. He wrote this whole script based upon his feelings and his emotions, and the people loved it. And so they he's getting ready to start doing that scenario. And I told him about me and Chill, our relationship, but more importantly, Chill is, to me, I don't know, the best kept secret, if you want to say. He's been in the entertainment Hollywood business for 40 years as an African American man, working, doing TV and film. Now he did more in a wheelchair as an African American male, still acting, doing his thing, from Ed to doing NCIS New Orleans and Fear of the Walking Dead. You know what I'm saying? And he said, but the biggest part of the story is not about him being African American male, still in Hollywood. He's still about, when we're together, when we hang out, and people walk by, they'll come in and say, "You inspired me to do XYZ because you didn't give up, because of what you did, not because of what I saw of your shows and what I love you, but because you never gave up." That gave me inspiration. We were doing a podcast with Kid and Play, and the lady in there was saying, "I know what you feel because I couldn't walk." And they told me I couldn't walk, but hearing your story, I know about inspiration because you are inspiring to me. And I told my man Anthony that, and so now we're going to be working on a biopic. It's going to a little bit about Groovy Chill, but more about him and his inspiration. So we're working on that collectively. We're definitely going to do a song or two, because we still got some things to say. So it's the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm excited for you. It's been a blessing just to meet you. It's funny how you say your mantra, because on the top of my magazine it says "Purpose is power." At the very top of the magazine.
Oh my goodness! And I just said it yesterday or day. I said a man with no purpose is not a man, and I don't care what. And they can, if you don't like what I said, I'll say it again. I said what I said. A man without a purpose is not a man, and I'm not. That'll be a man, because without that purpose, what is your motivation? Why are you here? What makes you get up and move the way you need to move? Not the way you think you're going to move, but the way you need to move to make the world better. We are the purpose.
I love it. I love it. Well, I so appreciate you coming to share your time, space, and energy with me. You are welcome back anytime at all. You will be here on February the 1st. The House Party Pajama Jam Tour. It's going to be at Club Synergy.
We're going to be we changed it to VVS on the 1st. We're going to be the Skate Plug on the 2nd, and we are at the Neighborhood on the 3rd. All in Atlanta. I'll be doing some video drops. And there's you can get the tickets on Brown Ticket. Where you can buy the tickets, because we're having people just want to dance, but some people want to really be experienced, so they'll be like backstage with us, hanging out, eating, crudité platters and charcuterie platters, and just hanging out with the artist. That's that VIP section.
Absolutely. Make sure you give me the flyers so I could be able to share that out for you too.
Matter of fact, I'm gonna send you the flyers tomorrow. You're gonna have a bunch of flyers, and like I said, I appreciate your platform. I see what you do. It's an incredible platform, and any way that I can help you and uplift you and do anything to put you where you want to be, please let me know.
Absolutely. Now listen, when I let you know, don't be talking about some girl, your vision is too big. I said something.
No. Because if I don't know somebody, I'm going to find somebody that knows somebody. You heard?
I love it. I appreciate you, and I will talk to you soon.
Definitely. Much love. Many blessings.